Okay, following on from the DMP video, I've been asked to do a video on PCT. So in order to understand PCT, we first need to understand what goes on. Now, our hormone production can be shut down by three hormones: estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone. Obviously, primarily in the case of someone using steroids, it's the increase in testosterone that shuts our hormone production down. Basically, the hypothalamus senses that testosterone levels are high and stops releasing GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone. As a result of this, LH, luteinizing hormone, and FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, are no longer produced by the pituitary gland. This results in our testicles stopping to produce testosterone. Now, when this happens, like anything in the body that's not used, it starts to atrophy. So if you don't use your muscles will start to waste away. The same thing happens with your testes, which is why your balls shrink when you're on cycle. Now, when you come off cycle, obviously you have a period of time, depending on your dosage and the half-life of the drug you're using, until your test levels drop below your normal levels. So, for argument's sake, if we were using test nth and we were running 1,000 milligram a week, 14 days, we're going to have 500. Another 14 days, we're going to have 250. Another 14 days, we're going to have 125 present in our systems. Now, when the hypothalamus senses that test levels have dropped below normal, it very quickly switches back on. And the GnRH then hits pituitary and signals for the release of LH and FSH. Now, the main one is LH. Okay, luteinizing hormone is the main signal carrier for the production of testosterone. So those signals are sent to the testes, and the testes are told start producing testosterone. But there's a problem. You see, because we've not been using those factories have been mothballed, they've shut down, they've got smaller. They can't suddenly start back up into full production. They can start producing testosterone, because they are smaller, they don't produce enough. And this is the bottleneck that causes us problems. It's the testicular size that limits our recoveries. So, we need a way of getting our nuts back to full size as quick as possible. And this is where HCG comes in. HCG mimics LH, but in a greater quantity, and signals the testes to recover, to grow, to get back to the normal size. In fact, if you run HCG through cycle, you will limit testicular atrophy. Now, it has been long thought that overuse of HCG will cause a desensitization and can actually cause negative feedback. And it's true that in laboratories this effect has been witnessed. However, it is now commonly regarded by experts in the field that this is a myth. And cycles as high as 5,000 IU every other day for periods of 30 days on normal, natural, fully functioning endocrinic systems have yielded no shutdown. But what they have yielded is test levels in the higher regions of the band. So it would appear that HCG could be quite a good little supplement for the natties. Anyway, so HCG goes in for a period of 2 to 3 weeks at relatively high dose. I'm a great believer in Dr. Scali's Power PCTs, and he runs it at 2 to 2,500 IU every other day for 20 days. Now, it does depend on your cycle, it depends on the type of drugs you've been using, it also depends on how long you've been on and the dosages. But I would say anywhere between 1,500 and 2,500 IU every other day for 14 to 20 days. If you've been on a relatively low cycle, fast-acting esters, then you probably get away with 1,500 EOD for 14 days. If you've been on nandrolones, you're going to be looking at the 2.5 and you're going to be looking at 20 days. Now, the other two drugs that are commonly used is Clomid and tamoxifen. Now, this is really for estrogen control. They do support LH production as well. But the main thing they do is, you see, as our test production is artificially boosted, obviously our body's going to start converting it to estrogen. We control that estrogen and then we prevent the negative feedback loop. The testes don't start sensing that there's a lot of estrogen floating around and they don't start to look to shut down. And we can continue to keep boosting our own test production until everything clears and we settle. Now, with Clomid, I would personally look at running it at 100 milligram for the first 14 to 21 days and then run another 7 days at 50 milligrams. And for tamoxifen, I would look to run at 40 mg for 21 to 30 days and then a following 10 days at 20 milligrams, so taper off towards the end. Now, many find Clomid a bit of a rough ride. It can make you feel quite depressed, but if you bear with it and sit through it, it usually passes in 4 or 5 days. So why do PCT? Why not just stay on? Well, the biggest issue is health, really. You see, we all have a genetic potential, and what a lot of people argue is that, well, I want to stay on because I don't want to lose my gains. Well, unless you've exceeded your genetic potential, you're not going to lose your gains. If your diet is on point and your training is on point, there is no reason why you can't maintain a large amount of your gains for quite a long period of time. However, if you've gone beyond your genetic potential, then there's no way you can sustain that growth without a chemical advantage. But for 90% of people, they've never reached the genetic potential when it comes to size or strength. So as a result, there is no medical or chemical reason for them to need to blast cruise. And very much, there's a bigger health risk with long duration cycles than there is with high cycles. You know, the longer you are on steroids, the longer your heart is under a sustained pressure increase. The longer you have the cholesterol effects of the lowering of good cholesterol and the increasing of bad cholesterol, the higher the chances of plaque buildup, the longer your liver is under stress, and everything else that comes with it. Time off is essential for health. Now, me personally, genetic potential for me is around 23, 24 stone. Beyond that, yes, I have to run a low dose cruise. But underneath that, no, I can cycle comfortably and I retain most of my size. So for those that are cycling because I don't want to lose my gains, it's bullshit. It's because you're scared, you're insecure, or your diet and training isn't on point and you're using the drugs to compensate. If those things are correct and you run a quality PCT, there is no need for you to lose mass. And a lot of people just don't run PCTs aggressive enough. They're too mild, they're too wimpy. Like I said, for anyone that wants to really look it up, look up Dr. Michael Scally and look at his Power PCT. He has run that on thousands of people that have androgenic shutdown. And he has tons of case studies for results. The guy is very, very knowledgeable in the field. He's someone who I talk to quite regularly now. And he really knows his stuff. Now I'm going to talk about one other drug, tryptolin. Now, it is a bit of a strange one. It's actually used in high dose to chemically castrate people. And you're talking in the region of 2 gram to 4 gram doses. But if taken in microgram doses, then this has been proven to be quite a miracle product when it comes to recovering people that have suffered severe androgenic shutdown. The case study I've looked at was a man that had been shut down for 10 years due to steroid use. He took one shot, and 4 weeks later everything was back and functioning normally. However, it comes with a word of warning. You're limited to using this drug once or twice a year. You use it too often and you will cause severe problems. You will castrate yourself. So I would advise standard PCTs. If you find they're not working for you and you've got a severe problem, then look at the tryptolin. But otherwise, leave it well alone. Now I believe, I've not used it myself, but I believe it is literally a one-shot deal. I do know some people have run estrogen control with it just for their own hormone management, but I believe you need nothing else. Right, that's it. Nothing much else to tell you on that one, I don't think. So hopefully you're finding that useful. Our next one I'll probably do is going to be something probably around estrogen management. Seems we're in that sort of area at the moment. And we'll look at AIs and SERMs and suicide inhibitors and progesterone and prolactin issues and where we go with them. Okay, hope you found that useful, guys.